Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Sip, sip, sip. Good morning, Lita. How are you feeling?
Good morning, Shan. I feel like I've been up for about 5 hours.
You have been up for 5 hours. You went and did bar class this morning. Very productive morning for you. Cleaned the house. I appreciate that. I completely different side though. I'm a massive overthinker. So like this morning I had a thought and I was like, I want to share that on BARI Banter. I don't know if other people are like that, like where they kind of really like overthink things. So
You've
like,
got me worried because I just asked you, what are we talking about? You're like, you just wait and see.
well, I didn't know how to kind of tell you what would. Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
So anyway, so I was thinking because I saw your ovulation kit thing that you had out there. So like you brought one of those ovulation things, and then I kind of was thinking about it when I was driving back, and I was like, God, it's really like crazy how complicated the human body is. Like we look at, like I look at you and I see you, but I don't understand how complex it is because like for you to, because you pee on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so.
And same as a maybe you should.
I've never done
maybe
one
I should
before.
have told. But like, because the pregnancy one you pee on, and then it's like the chemicals within your pee tell you if you're pregnant or not. And the same with ovulation, but it would be different chemicals, obviously. I assume maybe not.
Yeah, because it tells you if you're ovulating, not if you're pregnant.
Yeah,
So
that's
different
exactly right.
hormones.
So it's like, and that's all through your urine. So it's like someone has sat down and worked out like what chemical says you're ovulating or you're pregnant. And I just thought it was really like, because that's to me is like, wow, if you break a human down, we've got a lot of complicated things that we don't understand. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was really weird because like I've never really thought about it in that kind of gene perspective of like, you know, understanding that like your pee, which because your pee doesn't come from you have a pee hole. It comes from like, you know what I mean? Like when you have a baby, it comes from your vagina, but then a pee comes from your pee hole. So like, are they linked up to like? I don't understand it. It's a very complicated thing for me to understand. But
I was talking to one of my friends at work, and we were talking about how when you are younger, you're told like, don't have unprotected sex. You will fall pregnant. When you're trying to fall pregnant, it's bloody hard work. Like it's not that easy.
Yeah.
I wish that they would actually
True.
like tell you that, you know, it's like this massive like chemical thing and like
massive overshare because I like to do these. The first time I ever had sex, I used 2 condoms because I was so petrified of getting pregnant. And it's like now I look back and I'm like, wow, I was being crazy.
considering like you've only got pretty much one day in your whole cycle where you can fall pregnant.
Yeah. I know. I want a refund.
Yeah.
Also, set a goal. I've decided I want to try and do Black All 100 in like 4 months' time. So I'm trying to get back out there and training, which is kind of exciting. And I went up to Cairns yesterday, and that's where the Ironman is in like a month. No, a couple of weeks, isn't it?
2 weeks.
And I think that's where I want to do because I want to do 100, the Black All 100, Ironman, full
70.3.
Ironman, and the 70.3 at Sunshine Coast. So, but obviously I want to go the 100, 70.3. And then into the Ironman up.
And then
Cairns.
I think after Ironman, you need to do the 355.
Oh yeah, before
which is half
looking
the
even at
ultra.
the ultra, whatever it is. But speaking of Ironman,
I know,
triathlon, nailed that segue. Our guest today is a bit of a fiend of it as well. I'm really working on the segues, guys. It doesn't come easy to me. I'm a bit of a jolted communicator. But anyway, our guest today, would you like to introduce her?
Today we're sitting down with Jane. She was sleeved back in 2019 with a start weight of 110 kilos. A mother of 2, a triathlete with some pretty epic goals. She's definitely making the most of this tool that she's been given and has a newfound passion for life. Please welcome today's guest, Jane. Hello, lovely.
Hello.
Hello.
You look so snug and warm.
I know you do. It's freezing up here at the moment.
I am so snug and warm. Highly recommend these jumpers. I'll be living in it until September, I think.
Yeah, gosh.
I actually just want to backtrack on that introduction.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to unpack there between ovulation kits and 3 condoms.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to backtrack on the introduction Alita did, and I'm like, she's got it wrong again. Here we go.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Just listening to you two, that was hilarious.
We're clearly going into this blind because we don't really know what we're doing. We're just like, have sex, baby comes, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens?
Yeah, I have that conversation too with so many friends about how you're taught to be so paranoid in your, in your 20s and, you know, take all of the precautions. And then when you do want to have a baby, they just don't rock up. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really, like, I always thought it was put it in, pull it out, have a baby. But it's really, that was really graphic.
I was talking to somebody yesterday, and that she's got a 4-year-old daughter, and she was like, she's explained it to her because her 4-year-old daughter wants to have a baby, and she's like explaining that she's too young and blah, blah, blah. But she's like, how do babies made? And she goes, well, if you find somebody that you really love and you hold hands and you both really wish it with all of your heart, then you will fall pregnant. And I was like, damn it, Shannon, hold my hand and wish.
Hold my hand. We've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
Put the ovulation kit in the bin and hold my goddamn hand.
Just hold my hand, damn it.
Jeez. All this time, it was that simple. I know, could you imagine if they actually...
Also, just on you two making babies, I'm just a massive Instagram stalker, really, and have been stalking you guys for a really long time. And I was always, like, perplexed. Like, why aren't they together? Like, what is going on there? I just didn't understand. And then when that post came up of you two, I was like, I screamed. And my husband's like, what are you? I was like, oh, there's these people on Instagram and they're best friends and they've just gotten together and it's so amazing. He's like, oh my God.
Oh my God, that's adorable. That's adorable. We're both just very stubborn. I think that's all it came down to. We're just very stubborn human beings who couldn't look at the facts put in front of us. But
apparently the rest of the world could see it. But
rest of the world? Jeez, I don't know that many people. Maybe the rest of the Instagram,
Yeah. Anyway, enough about us.
Yeah,
more, we've got
Isn't
you
it like,
here to talk about you, not us.
I get all flustered when like questions get asked in like when something gets put in reverse. I'm like, no. That's why I ask the questions. I get too nervous.
I get so nervous.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, but no. On that note, I wanted to obviously talk about triathlons. That was my segue. What have you done up to date? What has been your kind of lead up to where you are now?
Like since the surgery, do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even before surgery, if you've done some events before then, or
no, I always really loved movement, and I loved exercise. I'm never really a sports person because I can't catch a ball. But I love movement and I love feeling active. But I kind of became overweight when I was 11 and then yo-yo dieted from that point. So I was always really restricted by my body, I guess. So I definitely, I was probably what I would call fat fit. I did, I'm a high school teacher and every year the kids do, or the year 12, not the kids, but they do the Kokoda Challenge at the Gold Coast. And so before the surgery, I did the 48-kilometre Kokoda Challenge at the Gold Coast with them and got through it, but it was awful. It was really hard. So it wasn't like I was like a lethargic sort of sitting around, not active person, but I tried, but was really held back by my weight. And then so since the surgery, I've done 2 sprint triathlons and then the Mooloolaba Olympic distance try. Just in, when was that? March.
Yeah, that was the most recent one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how'd you go with that?
So, pardon?
How'd you go with the try?
Yeah, good. Didn't die or hit myself, and they were both my goals. So,
I was reading that leading into surgery. You wanted to be fit and have a good relationship with food. I think you've definitely knocked off the fit side of things. You're definitely putting in the effort on that side of things. Food,
for sure.
How are you finding that relationship?
Oh, Shan, that's I don't know, good, but I don't know. Do you guys find this? It's just a constant thing for me that I'm always going to need to be conscious of. And some days are easier than others. Like some days I can just sort of coast along and be like, oh, I haven't even thought about food. Like I've been eating, but I haven't obsessed about food, or I haven't had huge cravings, or I haven't eaten when I'm not really hungry. And then other days I just want to eat. Like you guys always say, you have surgery on your stomach, not on your brain. So even though there's that tool in place, your brain is so powerful and can override it. And I'm definitely in a much better place with my relationship with food. Like definitely a lot better. But I don't think I have to come to terms with the fact that I'll never just be like, oh, that's not an issue for me anymore.
Yeah. It's a constant thought because I have that all the time where I'm like, I'm hungry or am I eating because I'm hungry or am I eating because I think I'm hungry?
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing about the mind side of things. Yes, you can have a restriction, but then you can still push through that restriction if your mind's going like, you know, I want this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always a big struggle. But yeah, how have you
Yeah,
found
it is. And then like I saw a psychologist when I first had the surgery, and she taught me some techniques, you know, like on how to gauge your hunger. Ask yourself, you know, are you eating for comfort? Are you eating for excitement? Or are you eating for blah blah blah? And you try those techniques, but they sound so simple, but it's so amazing how difficult it actually can be. You know,
it's amazing how much you put convenience first as well. Like now, because Shan works away so often, it's so hard for like cooking for one. But not only am I only cooking for one, I'm cooking for like a third because we don't eat a full meal. So when Shan's not here, I go to the supermarket and I just buy those like frozen meals, which aren't amazing for myself.
They're still frozen, so they're not nutritious.
The
natural thing,
And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been feeling like sluggish and crappy, and I'm just kind of like, why? And it's because I'm not eating real fresh food.
Yeah.
So I've actually made the decision to go back down the lines of HelloFresh again for when Shan's not here.
Oh yeah.
Because I can just cook up a few decent, like I can cook up 3 meals essentially that's meant to feed 2 adults and chuck them in the freezer. I know they're still frozen, but I know that I'm cooking them from wholesome, fresh ingredients.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, it's just amazing. And that's like, it's so easy to fall into convenient old habits, like, just because it's easier.
Yeah, exactly. Like to keep myself on track, I'm super anal with meal prep. Like I'm also like you, Shannon, just obsessed with oats. Just need to start an oats fan club. Just every Sunday night, my 6-year-old daughter stays up with me, and we do my oats for the week. And I have like banana and sunflower seeds and pepitas and whatever in there, and I have them for the whole week, and then I'll do like a big meal as well, and then put them in those little containers and just have the fridge full of that. And it can get boring because you're eating the same thing because, you know, you do a big cook up and then you're eating that for a whole week. But I'm so lost if I don't do that meal prep. Like I'm grabbing anything at any time, can't keep track of what I've eaten. Like it's just,
it helps simplify it too. Like it just helps simplify it, you know, like taking the thought out of it, because I even like traveling now and doing all the work away, that's the hardest part, is trying to like go, oh, what do I feel like? Where do I get it? You know, with oats, that's always one thing. It's like I wake up in the morning, I don't have to go, oh, where's the nearest shop? What do I have in the house? Yeah. It's like, I'll just have oats.
And I find too, if I don't plan it either, like yesterday I went to the fridge and there was nothing in the fridge. So I just closed the fridge again and I didn't eat. And it's like, well, hang on a second. I was obviously, like, it's fine if you do that the first time because you might be mind hungry, not actual hungry. But I had breakfast one morning Wednesday morning. I had breakfast and then I didn't eat again until 6 o'clock at night because it was too hard for me to just make food. So I was just kind of like, okay. And because I don't really get hungry that much anymore either, it's just kind of like, all right, well, you just go without it. Like
2 years out, how have you found like the restriction? Have you found it still?
Oh, so like, funny you should say that. I found this journal yesterday that had what I would eat this time a year ago. And I was like, holy dooly. That would be breakfast now.
Yeah.
not like a whole day's worth of food. So yeah, there's definitely restriction there, but I am finding as the time goes on, how much more you can eat.
Yeah, well, when you compare
do you guys find that?
Yeah, well, compared, like, that's a great way because you kept a journal to kind of understand exactly how much it has increased, because I went through, like, the other day I had something and I was like, oh, compared to, like, I remember having the same food, like, 2 years ago, and I had, like, a mouthful of it, and now I can eat, like, you know, 4 or 5 mouthfuls of it, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely increased, but as we say all the time, some days you have days where you can eat the 5 mouthfuls, but then some days you'll still have the days where you look at it and you're full. You know, you do have those days that are kind of like, I know with some meals, it could be the food or it could be just the day, but it just doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
So I definitely still have those days, but definitely
I think it also comes down to a lot of what you've done, like the day beforehand, how much you've slept, how much water you drink, how much exercise you've done, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously done the try and you're looking to do like a bigger event leading on. How have you found the nutrition with like sporting and stuff?
Yeah, that's a tricky one as well. like, I think it makes you on one hand, it makes you a lot hungrier. And then on the other hand, you're also thinking, well, I need to make sure I'm putting more calories into my body because, I work, I've got 2 young kids. The last thing, it already feels like a bit of a selfish endeavor. And the last thing I want is to not have enough energy for the rest of my life and for the kids as well. So, I find that a bit of a battle, like trying to figure out. And I think almost it's weird. Like the more I train, I think when I'm training, I eat more and I don't ever lose weight. I don't think the more I train because then I eat more and But
it is one of those things, that line you've got to cross as well because I know coming from a weight loss perspective, it's really hard to adjust to that you need to eat because I know I've always put exercise to weight loss. It's always like I've exercised to lose weight, but then you get to a point like we're at, and it's like you now are doing things for the fun of it, and you need the energy to do it.
You
so
need
it's
to
like
eat to
you need to fuel.
Yeah.
You need to not worry about the calorie side of things and understand it's a fuel
like even
source.
Something so difficult, or not difficult to wrap my head around, but something I find really interesting is that you have to, the whole nutrition and endurance sport thing, like the fact that if I want to go on a 3-hour bike ride, or even with the Bar try, like I need to take those gels, and like you need to be putting calories in so that your body keeps going. And it's really from all those neural pathways of dieting for so many years, it's just a weird one to be like exercising and putting calories in. Like it's just a really odd kind of transition, I suppose.
Yeah, because we've always been told you need to exercise in order to lose weight, and your body
life like that. It's not even like being told that, like because you've always had that mentality of, I think, you said it the other day. It's like your whole life have felt like a diet.
Yeah,
and finally you're at a point now where you're not on a diet as such, but your mental side still goes, I need to watch what I eat.
Yeah,
it's like, well, no, you don't really.
Yeah.
Now.
I remember I used to see cyclists stopped at traffic lights eating a banana, and I'd be like, guys, can you not just wait until you get home to eat? But that's when I didn't realize that they were on like a 300-kilometer bike ride, and that's them stopping for like a snack to fuel so they can get home. Like it's a completely different way of thinking, really.
Yeah, it's really strange. And then also knowing, like I did a practice run of the Bar try distances one day out here, just to see, because I'd never done them all together and I needed to see how I would go with it just so I knew. Anyway, I didn't bring any gels or bananas or anything. I just, all extra water actually. And it was like a summer day and really, really hot. And towards the end of the 10K run, I was just like, I had labour flashbacks. I was just like, this is painful hell. Like it was just awful. But then I'd learnt more about nutrition by the time the Bar try came up, and I felt great the whole time because I had those gels, because I had that nutrition on board,
had the energy,
and water, obviously. So it is like it obviously makes a huge impact.
It does, and it adds a little bit more complication. Like that's what I'm going through at the moment, trying to find a nutritionist that does bariatric and sports, because it's
I've heard you talking about that. Have you had any luck?
Yes, I think Sally's friend I'm going to sit down with, who I just recently did like a conference thing and had to sit down and talk about like my experience, and he was the nutritionist that she recommended, and he sounds amazing. So I definitely want to sit down with him, especially approaching like, the 100K event and like the longer endurance stuff. I definitely want to make sure I get on the right path, because I don't understand it enough. Like I've come a long way with nutrition from when I first started this process, but I still only know a drop in the ocean when it comes to it, because it's a lot more complicated than you ever think. It's not just a case of eat a banana, you get everything you need. Have a gel, get everything you need. Like your body requires certain things at certain times, and like
minerals,
like with the ultra last year when I started cramping with 10Ks to go, that's my fear, is like I don't want, my body was obviously going without something, so I want to understand what it was so that doesn't happen halfway through 100 kilometers. So it's like, it's a lot more complex, and like coming from a bariatric diet mentality, it makes it even more difficult. Because we haven't really educated ourselves into this point to kind of understand.
And there's it's also new, isn't it? That it is. There's not many studies out there. There's not many professionals in the field who have the answers.
And it is like, even like when I spoke to the nutritionist about like the sports side of things, this one guy I spoke to, his first response was, can you not just reverse the surgery yeah, can you not just reverse the surgery? And I was like, oh, no, I can't. But that was funny that
Not
was their
really.
first response. It wasn't so much to
Wow.
understand what bariatric surgery was about. His response was,
Yeah.
can't you just reverse it? And it's like,
Just
well,
get your stomach back. Just
Yeah,
go
literally.
and say, oops, I made a mistake. Can I have that back, please?
I'm pretty sure it's in a meat bin somewhere. But yeah, that was like, they find it really hard, especially from a sports side of things, to understand the lack of things we can put in. Like even he was saying, like the biggest thing for you would be like getting hydration in. That would be one thing. And then let alone trying to fuel and do all this. And I'm like, yeah, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Or they tell you to carb load the night beforehand. Just eat a massive bowl of pasta. You're like, yeah, but my massive bowl of pasta is like, 5 mouthfuls and I'm done. Like, and that's not going to be enough to fuel me for a 9-hour race.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
exactly.
Even when I rode down to Taree, it was like constant just carb drink, like liquid, and I think that's the way I need to go, is like consuming a lot of my carbs and calories through liquid form.
Through liquid,
yeah, because natural food sources just isn't going to work. Like smashing down bananas or whatever it isn't going to work because you just be full before you even start.
Your little story about doing your practice try, it just reminds me of when we did our practice try and I was dying. We did a sprint distance practice for the BARI try when we did it a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I was on the 8K run home and I didn't take any water and it was coming on to midday and we were running around our local area and I was like, I was so dehydrated that I didn't even have any saliva left in my eyes, or in my mouth, sorry. I thought that I was like slowly blinking and that my eyes were like going to get like glued open because I had no moisture left in there. Anyway, I'm running past the Food Works and I was like, that's it. I'm just going to have to, just call into Food Works and buy a bottle of water, because I had my phone with me. And I'm running through the car park and these 2 young guys it was a Saturday morning. They were getting their esky ready to go, to a party or something. And they were crashing up a bag of ice. And I've run up to them and I was like, oh my God, can I have a piece of ice? Like I'm in a tri-suit, like running along. And they're kind of like looking at me and they're like, are you in an event? And I was like, not really. And then I was like, just one piece of ice.
My own personal event.
My own personal event.
So they gave me a piece of ice and they must have just seen my face. It was just like pure relief. And they're like, do you want more? And I was like, no, it's fine. And I had one extra piece. They ended up emptying out their coffee cups and giving me a whole cup full of ice so that I could make it home.
Like your own little hydration station.
And then I called Shannon.
That's
and I was
lovely.
like 1.5 K out from home. And I was like, bring water. Like, bring me water. I'm dying. I'm not going to make it.
Lessons were definitely learned.
And then when you actually get to the event and there's a whole bunch of people there with water every couple of kilometres, you're like, can you guys just follow me home with all my training?
Or you're like, guys, why are you every couple of 100 meters, guys? Like, you can spread out a little bit. Come on, guys.
Well, like even like watching the ultra man the other day, and like they had a little team following them around and giving them hydration and food and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, it's like having little servants. I want to do it just so I have little
I reckon that's worth doing it for, just to be waited on.
Literally, I get to run around and ride bikes and swim in the ocean while people serve me.
Do you want a Vegemite sandwich? Do you want a coffee? Do you want a tea? Do you want some noodles? Like, it's just...
Sounds like a
serve
hotel.
you, cheer you, tell you you're amazing. A lot of people do
Sounds
it.
like my kind of event.
Me too.
A lot of people measure their success via the scales. Now, when we asked you to fill out this form, you had no idea what your current weight was.
No, I really don't. Yes, absolutely. I broke up with them. When did I break up with the scales? Probably like, God, just after Christmas, I think.
Good
maybe?
Breakup, bad breakup. Did you take it?
Yeah,
take it well?
Look, they've been pretty quiet. So I think they're just processing their rejection.
A little bit hurt by it all, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit hurt. But yeah, I don't know. It's just such a trigger for me, really. And I don't know whether it'll always be this way. I kind of go off shorts, like these shorts that I bought a year out of surgery. Them really, I don't know how to explain it. I hate living in that world of numbers. I hate waking up and thinking about my body and thinking, I wonder how much my body weighs, and then finding out what that number is, and then deciding what I should eat or what I shouldn't eat that day, depending on the number. Like, I think by far the most incredible gift I've received from surgery is breaking out of that obsessive prison of food and my body, and always thinking about the next diet and what I weigh and how much I want to weigh, and all of like just being ruled by that world. The best thing about the surgery is not being ruled by that world anymore. And I always found that hopping on the scales would pull me back into it.
It would.
And I hate that. So now I prefer healthy food generally. I still really like ice cream and dark chocolate, and I eat that. And I exercise because I enjoy it and I have goals. And I just want to try and try at 38 years old to get this relationship with food and my body that I wished I had all along, and the scales wasn't going to help me get there.
But I think as well, though, you can definitely measure your success, so to speak, by your training. If you're running faster, or you're riding further, or you're swimming better.
You're not so much relying on the scales to give you that validation of success anymore. Like you have other things that can give it to you, because that doesn't define you, the weight now.
Do you have to get weighed prior to your events, or not really?
No.
Do you have to get... Why? Why would you get... I know there's a category.
I was going to say, I think there's certain categories that you need to get weighed beforehand.
Yeah, there's like, is it Athena's and Clydesdale?
Yeah. And also just because at the Ironman that I was just at, they weighed every athlete at the start of the day, and then they weighed every athlete at the end of the day. And the athletes who gained weight...
That just brings back like bad high school memories.
Yeah.
They're doing it for a medical thing to make sure you're staying hydrated enough and stuff like that.
So if you actually lost weight whilst you were out on the course, because they're they're out there for 10, 12 hours.
Yeah. Is that when you were doing the Ultraman?
Crewing. I wasn't doing it. I definitely was not doing it. But they weighed each athlete before they took off in the morning, and then they weighed each athlete at the end to just make sure that they were like doing the right thing with their nutrition. And they were saying the most successful athletes actually gain weight while they're out on the course, because that means that they've nailed their nutrition.
What a head game that would be.
That's amazing.
Imagine a bariatric person gaining weight during an event, and you kind of you'd be like, I finished the day but I gained weight.
So one of the dudes that the guy who won the whole thing overall, on day 2 he gained 2 kilos. Whilst being out on the bike.
Julie.
And he was like, I was eating donuts, I was eating fish and chips, I was eating all this sort of stuff whilst he was out on a 200. How
could you exercise with that stuff on, I guess I've never been enjoyed endurance sport when I haven't had bariatric surgery, so I don't know what it's like. Could you imagine us?
Yeah, I would want a nap. Like, if I ate that much food, I'd just be like, nap time.
Yeah, well, you've got to remember too, though, he did a 280-kilometre bike ride holding around a 35-kilometre speed. So, he's a beast.
Holy Julie.
Absolute beast.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That is incredible.
So, one of your big things leading into surgery for you was the judgment side of things. Like, telling people about you having bariatric surgery. So that was a concern for you leading into surgery, was it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And even now I'm not, people know when I tell people, but I don't
broadcast it to a degree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a weird one, isn't it?
Have you had much judgment? Have you?
No, actually, I really haven't, not to my face anyway.
That old chestnut. Yeah.
That old chestnut. No, the most intense thing anyone's ever said to me was, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? And I was like, I guess it was. Yeah.
Well, that's probably not a bad response to it, really, is it? Because it kind of makes them go, oh, wow, that's a big... It's not so much saying you shouldn't have done it. It's just saying, wow, that's a heck of a step you've taken. So I don't think you can take a lot of negative away from that. But have you been quite, obviously, would you classify yourself as a secret sleever to a degree?
No, God, no. It's not a secret. No, not at all. And I tell people outright. But I guess what is it? It's a funny one. It's not that I feel shame over it, or anything like that. But I guess I'm still processing that. I'm still processing the surgery. I'm still processing the point I got to. I'm still processing that is my reality. Yeah, I don't know.
There's no doubt in your mind you having the surgery. Like, are you proud you had the surgery? Like, are you glad you had the surgery? How would you say you feel about you taking that step?
I don't think I think it would be a stretch to say I'm proud I had the surgery, because I don't, but I am so happy I had it, and I do see it as, like, to be where I am now, the surgery was the only option. Like, it was the only option for me to get to where I am now. There is no way I would be able to be living the life I am now and be as active as I am and be achieving the goals I am without the surgery. There's no way I would have been able to maintain some kind of control over my relationship with food without the surgery. And I think that's just a medical fact. You know, when you look at the statistics of the amount of people who yo-yo diet for their lives and have lost weight and put it back, like, diet culture isn't the answer, and that's the only culture that really we have available to us. So, you know, when my GP recommended the surgery, he gave me the statistics of the amount of people that can lose weight and keep it off long term, and it's virtually impossible, I think. So,
isn't it funny how, like, in society it's considered normal to lose weight through, like, diet and then regain it?
Yeah.
That's just part of society. But then, like, we're still got that little with weight loss surgery, even though you can clearly see it's changing people, it's helping people, it's helping people break the diet culture degree. It's hard for people to process it. You know, it's like society can be so just so normal with dieting and losing weight no matter what it takes. But then surgery for some reason seems to cross a line for a lot of people.
It's funny how people, like, you know, the response to you was that, oh, well, that was extreme for you to go and have that surgery done, but it's not extreme for you to spend 20 years of your life losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight. Like, it puts so much stress on your body.
Yeah, so, like, I could almost look at, like, liquid diets, like, you know, the juice diets and stuff like that. And hello,
sorry, guys.
No, that's all right. And I could see the liquid side of diets as extreme.
I'll be out there in 10 minutes.
If I looked at it the right way. You know, like, at the end of the day, if someone wants to do a liquid diet or whatever diet they want to do, I'm fine with it. But then, like, for people to look at weight loss surgery is extreme, I guess it's kind of like, what's your definition of extreme? Is it because I've had something removed from me? Like, you know, is it better if I go and, you know, just drink liquids or something like that? Is that considered less extreme in your books? Like, I don't know.
Or, you know,
it is. It's all the
groups and that sort of thing. That's not extreme. You know, cutting sugar, cutting carbs out of your diet. That's not extreme. But, you know,
going like keto or like what's the other one where it's just meat? There's the other one
carnivore.
like we just eating meat. Like, that's not considered extreme. Like, but weight loss surgery.
It's all bloody it's all extreme.
Yeah,
isn't
it depends
it?
what eyes
so if it's all extreme, I want to pick the most extreme version that has the most amount of success. Really,
yeah, exactly.
It's going to rock the boat as much as possible, and you know, make me change.
Yeah.
You know, not just make little sudden, like, little changes. Like, let's just change things. Let's, like, really rock the boat and see what happens.
Yeah, and then I get I don't, like, wonder about, you know, when you hear people say it's the easy way out or what, and to some degree I definitely don't think it's easy, but I mean, it's the easiest way I've ever done it, in that and the most enjoyable and rewarding and wonderful way I've ever lost weight. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy, but it's like, but compared to not eating any carbohydrates and eating the woman's soup diet and, you know, eating shakes for 6 months and then putting on all of the weight in 3 weeks. Like,
I thought about this the other day because, like, the easy way out is, like, you know, if you look at it through their eyes, you can kind of understand it, but I don't think they understand it in the way of, like, for me, it's not the easy way because I enjoyed eating large portions of food, and now, like, I've lost that relationship with food. So that's kind of like a hard way. It's like you kind of have to really understand that food will no longer have as much of an enjoyable hold on your life. Like, I know, like, you know, I eat food now and it sits uncomfortable. It's discomfort. So
Yeah.
if I looked at it from that angle, I'd be like, oh, it sucks that that's now harder. The same as like, going through the actual surgery, the recovery, the liquid stage, like all that's very, you put anyone else in that, they'd be like, oh no, this isn't easy. Like it's not the easy way. Like the easy way would be literally like someone just going, here's a tablet, you're going to lose 50 kilos, whatever it is. It's not.
You don't think about food anymore.
Yeah,
well, and that's the way that you can explain it too, though, is that kind of like essentially we go cold turkey. Like we're all addicted to food, we're addicted to sugar, we're addicted to something like that. Yeah. Food is the substance that we're addicted to. You wouldn't say to a drug addict who has all of a sudden is going cold turkey off drugs. You wouldn't say that that's the easy way out. For us, yes, we got our stomach altered and all that sort of thing, but we have to go cold turkey off the thing that we're addicted to.
Well, it's the same as like someone smokes cigarettes, are they taking the easy way out by using patches?
Yeah, it's
is that the easy way out?
True.
Like, by getting
you
hypnotized.
Just take whatever way works.
Easy way. It's the same as like you lose weight with a PT. Is that the easy way? Like, he didn't do it by himself. He had someone who was trained and professional at it to tell him what to do for exercise. Like,
it's all.
Yeah, I just think
it's all relative.
I think it all comes down to just.
And maybe I don't know with your question about whether I'm proud or not. Maybe it's also because I'm not really a part of the bariatric community either. I don't know a lot of people who have done it. Maybe that's part of it as well. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, I think proud's a very, like, I don't think I would say I'm proud because I made a decision that changed my life and now I'm reaping the rewards for that decision I made. Not so much proud because I had bariatric surgery, but I'm proud I did something that I was this kind of similar to you, where I was fearing the judgment from others, and I decided it was in my best interest to do this. Yeah. So I'm proud of myself for taking that step, because I've always been someone who would take people's, like, what people believed was best for me as gospel almost. Like, so if they thought it wasn't the right thing for me, it probably wasn't the right thing for me. With this, there was people like, even my mum was like, oh, it's a big surgery, you sure? And I was like, no, I am sure. This is something I'm very sure about. I want to do it. And now I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I took it. Yes, there's hard things and like certain parts of my life now that I've completely changed and I have to just live with it. But in the whole, if I look at the big picture, my life has definitely gained a lot more from having the surgery than if I hadn't have had the surgery. So in that way,
absolutely.
Yeah, proud's a very broad text term. Like, it's a very big word to use for it, but it all comes down to how you perceive your decisions and everything else is around it. So how have you found your aftercare after surgery? Did you go through much, like, see a psychologist? Did you have like dietitians and stuff you sat down with? Like, was there much aftercare for you?
My surgeon, who I won't name, is a surgeon in Brisbane. He's very good at what he does and is known to be very good, but there was not a holistic approach to it.
What's holistic? What's
like,
that?
Yeah, like I hear you talk about your surgeon, Shan, like, and your surgeon being great, and you felt really cared for, and really mine was an in and out kind of dude. My husband had surgery with him a month after I did, and we have a competition of who can have the shortest conversation with him for post-care. Because he was like, how you going? And you're like, yeah, good. He goes, everything good with your surgery? Yeah, no. Yeah, everything's good. You go to talk, and he goes, okay, yep. All right, and bye. And my husband will text me, he's like, got 53 seconds, new record.
Oh, wow. So your husband had it as well?
Yeah, he did. He had it a month after I did.
Oh, wow. And has he adapted like to the try as he started doing tries and stuff with you, or is it just
No, it's funny actually. We're a good example of two different reactions to it. He's definitely, he lost something like 50 and done really, really well with it, but just hasn't gone the whole crazy exercise path.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's all down to like, but he would probably be, I'm assuming he probably works a lot and stuff like that. So he'd be taking like a completely different, like just life approach to it, where you're kind of taking the other side, which is kind of where Alita and I are as well, where it's like you're wanting to experience more and test yourself and like find that path of like almost least, like the most uncomfortable way to kind of, learn about yourself and understand yourself and see if there are things out there that you want to, that you enjoy. So yeah, there is definitely different approaches towards this surgery, that's for sure, because some people just want to get on with life and enjoy everything that comes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot, probably, as people who, you know, when you struggle with weight from being a kid, there's, you know, from your childhood, there's so much to process, isn't there, in the years following not being that, in that body and that person anymore. I think everyone's on their own individual journey with processing that and facing those demons. And I don't know, it's an interesting one.
And everyone's got different.
What's that, sorry?
Everybody's got different outcomes that they want to achieve. Like, you know, we're going down the whole triathlon, the whole fitness side of things. Whereas even like Charlie, who we spoke to last week, a lot of his goals was just to excel in his career and that sort of thing. And he felt that, you know, by like losing the weight, he thought that he would do better within his career, but he realized that everybody still respected him as a person. But it's helped him. Yeah. It's helped him feel more comfortable in his chosen path because of the surgery that he's like, because of the weight loss and his confidence and all that sort of thing. So everybody takes different approaches to their goals and where they want to be and all that sort of thing after surgery. Yeah. But I'm so grateful to you guys and your Instagram presence, I suppose, as a form of inspiration, because I don't think I would have thought of going down that path if I didn't see what you guys post and you didn't have 5K your way and I didn't see Shannon riding across the country just casually one week. And I don't know, I think I just wanted to thank you for that, for putting that out there, because I found that so inspirational, and it's like it made me go, well, I can give that a go, can't I?
Because that was actually a question we had down here, is like, obviously you've got the 70.3 that you're working towards now at the moment. Yeah. And we were going to see like what led you to want to do triathlons, but do you feel like it was seeing others do it that made you first dabble in it? Yeah,
definitely.
And then it's been something that has just like kind of snowballed for you?
I've always wanted to. I think I've always wanted to do that kind of extreme sport thing and been drawn to it for the challenge of it and for you know, that just achieving those goals, but that was held back by my weight. But then, losing weight and then, seeing these people on Instagram who are then becoming athletes. I was like, oh, maybe I could try and dabble in that world. I'm so slow. I just plod along and, you know, I'm looking at my Mooloolaba try times. I think I spent 6 minutes in transition.
Oh, we all do that.
That's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah,
it's not transition, it's rest break, right? That's where you go to stop for a minute and have like
have a friggin' gel picnic and have a chat to the person next to you.
I think the first try we did, I sat on the ground and put my shoes and socks on, and like, you know, everyone else is running in. They got these like slip-on shoes and like they're off and running, and I'm like getting in there like minutes before them, and I'm like, double loop, double knot, make sure that doesn't come undone.
Well, the security guard at one of them who's like, you know, walking around making sure your bikes aren't getting stolen, one of them came up to me and was like, love, do you want a coffee while you're here as well? And I was like, geez, I didn't think it was taking that long. Come on.
I know. And I honestly thought I was quite quick. And then I looked back at my time and I was like, oh, that 6 minutes flew, didn't it?
Yeah, literally time flies when you're doing up your shoelaces.
Other people do it in 1 minute and I'm sitting there for 6. Geez, what did I do? Did I have a nap?
How do they do it so fast? Did they even stop? Like a minute, really? Like...
It's funny because when I was writing out these questions to ask you today, I wrote, you know, you're training for the 70.3, and then in my head I was like, people... And I didn't know what a 70.3 was prior to like last year. Like we've learnt this whole new world that I didn't even know that existed. Like it's just crazy. Like,
but I think it's also like you can appreciate it more too, because like when I sit there and I say 70.3, and even if I've stated it and I say like it's a 1.9k swim, it's like a 80k bike ride, and it's a what is it run-wise? It's like a half marathon. Like, if I state those to 20. Some people, if you had stated those distances to me prior to surgery, I'd probably be like, oh, yeah, cool. But now, because I know how much effort it takes to go that distance, it also makes me just kind of go, like, wow. Like, that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment to do something like that.
And then it doesn't just stop at Ironman. Then there's so many other. There's Ultramans. There's ultra marathons.
I know it doesn't stop, does it? Yeah. Which is really annoying. I want there to be a pinnacle, because otherwise.
Because even like you do like.
Otherwise, like I was I was watching your stories of Elle on the weekend
Yeah.
at the Ultraman, and I was like, oh man, it doesn't stop, does it?
Well,
like,
that's what one of the guys said, because I went to the finishers ceremony and all of them had to get up and say a speech sort of thing. And one of them said, like, okay, I'm done. Like, because a lot of them was like, we'll be back next year to go again. And he was like, I will not be back next year. I've done this once. I've finished this once. I don't ever want to try and do it again. This is like the pinnacle. This is it. I've pushed my body as far as it can go. I'm done. He's like, I'll keep on doing Ironman and stuff like that. But an Ultraman, he's like, I'll stop at one because that's quite an incredible achievement.
So yeah, we've seen your little kitties pop in on the video or the audio and stuff like that. And I think it's given me an appreciation because we've talked about like triathlons and you know, like I work towards triathlons and stuff like that, but I don't have kids. You know, seeing like you with kids and like that other world as well, for you to be doing what you're doing, like I know you say, oh, but I'm slow. But like you're being a full-time mum, which I assume you probably don't have a lot of time for yourself. And also achieving this, you have to kind of like, from my perspective, looking at you, I'm like, wow, like that's you would just be tired.
Oh, thank you. It is just intense. I work as a high school teacher 4 days a week, and then I usually have Wednesdays off with just Eli, but Lucy's off today as well. She's in grade 1. It's just massive juggle. It's huge.
Where do you find the time? Like you would go.
Are you up at like 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, 4 generally, 4:15 to get that couple of hours of training in before, and then my husband, he's a high school teacher as well, so he will do it so that I get home at like 6:15 and he goes early, and then I stay after school and do the afternoons, and he does the kids in the arvo usually.
Wow.
So it's like a juggling act, really, isn't it? It's
a huge, and then I do the longer, you know, like how you're supposed to for this training. I'm trying to get my head around it. I don't have a coach or anything, but just read things. But you know how you sort of do a long run on the weekends and a long bike on the. Yeah, so save that longer endurance stuff for the weekend. But it's funny. I still try and figure out why. Like why am I? Well, you know, why not just be happy with doing 40 minutes at the gym in the morning? Like why this endurance stuff? Like, and I don't really know if I have the answer, but part of it is that everything or every other part of my life feels so intense, and I'm pulled in 100 different directions at home and at school, and that time when you're training is just your time. It's bliss. Like you know, you're in the pool and you can't even get a phone call. Like, you know, you're just in your own little
retreat.
That's why swimming's my favorite out of all the sports, because it's just you and yourself. Like there's no music, there's no nothing. It's just you essentially looking at a black line over and over and over again, like just swimming.
Which for the first 10 minutes I'm always a little bit uncomfortable with. Like same as I guess when you start a meditation, I'm always like that first bit you're like, ugh, bit uncomfortable. But then and then after that it's just so good just being I'm a bit of an introvert, and I love being a mum, but I miss my own time and training. I don't know, sometimes I'm like, am I just doing this by myself?
So you haven't taught your kids how to swim yet because you don't want them to interrupt your pool time?
Exactly.
You can ride and they can run, but the pool time, that's my time.
That's my time.
It's probably lucky that your husband hasn't taken on to the triathlon world as well.
I know, I think that too.
Like, you know, no, I'm going for a long run today. Oh, well, no, it's my turn. Like, that would be even more of a juggle.
As much as I would love to share that world with him, I'm like, if he could just hold off until we could leave the kids at home by themselves, you know, if he can hold off until they're 13, that'd be swell.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like one of those things, like, because the thing I get quite often is, I would love to do triathlons and stuff, but I just don't have the time. And I think by you coming on and you showing that it is possible, you know, but obviously you're making sacrifices in other areas of like sleep.
Yeah. Well, and then the problem is, I think, it is a huge sacrifice. As much as I try to not make it impact our family, it's a sacrifice for Heath, because then I want to go to bed at 8:15. And, you know, the kids are in bed at 7:30, so that leaves us a whopping 45 minutes to chat, and then I'm not providing quality chat at 7:30 at night after being up since 4:15. So, there are sacrifices, I think. But, But yeah, I don't know. As soon as I finished the Mooloolaba one, my friend, who's a great triathlete, she texted and said 70.3, and I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why. But
Do you reckon you'll stop there, or do you reckon you will maybe eye off?
no,
if I send you a
turned
message
40.
after the 70.3 and I'm like, Iron
Yeah.
Man?
Iron Man. I do have in the back of my head, which I haven't really voiced. I turn 40 not next year, but the year after, and I think I'd like to do an Ironman for my 40th.
Cairns?
Yeah.
You reckon Cairns?
Pardon?
You should do Cairns Ironman.
Yeah, I don't know. Should I do? Yeah, that looks cool.
Cairns is meant to be really
I know it's really
beautiful.
bad to ask a lady's age, but how long into your 40?
2 years. She just said that.
Oh,
So 2
I
years.
missed that. Sorry. So that would be very similar to like
good.
when I'm probably going to be gone. Sorry, I'm like, for 2 years, that does sound right. But like, so obviously that would be about 2 years away. That would be very similar to when I would be at
We'll
that
just
point.
head up to Cairns and
do an
Yeah,
Ironman.
let's go.
Trash ourselves on endurance sport.
Yay.
Woo, yeah. Yeah.
Woohoo.
So if you had one piece of advice for someone just starting out on this process, or like, thinking about having bariatric surgery or whatever time they're in, what would be your one piece of advice leading into this whole thing for you?
So someone's thinking about doing it.
Anyone thinking about it or in the early stages, or just something that you probably would have wanted to hear leading into this?
It's not original. But yeah, the first thing that is on my heart with that is just do it. Just do it. If you've struggled with your weight and you've tried other ways and you're not having long-term success, I can't recommend it enough. I think just go in, smash it out, and
jump head first. Just jump straight head first into it, hey?
Yeah, I just don't think. Yeah, I don't know if it's making me pessimistic or what, but I honestly just don't think there is another way.
Yeah.
Like if your goal is to reach a healthy weight, whatever that is, but and to not live in that prison of dieting, then I just think that's the only way.
It is, because I think sometimes, like, I'm sure you fear for judgment and stuff, kind of like what I said before, and that was something holding me back. So I think by, saying just take the leap and knowing where you started off, and seeing now where you are, I think that is the main message right there, is like, you had the fears leading in, and now you're kind of reaping the rewards of making that decision to a degree. Because so I think taking the leap is almost like, don't fear the unknown.
The unknown, yeah.
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 Yeah. Like,
absolutely.
Like, learn through experience rather than thoughts. So like, kind of experience it, and you'll probably look back on it and be like, I shouldn't have worried about that in the first place. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I grappled with the decision for years and thought, oh God, I can't do that. That's too extreme. And but yeah, if I went back to that person, I just went back to me then, I'd just say to her, you'll be fine. It'll be more than fine.
You just laugh and you just be like, oh my God, I can't believe that was a fear. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you are definitely someone who has made the most out of this whole process. And as I said before, massive hats off to you for being a mum, working and doing triathlons, because I know how time poor I feel like I am. So for you to be doing what you're doing is, it should be inspirational to so many people, because like, you're putting something that you're passionate about, making the time for it,
putting it in the forefront,
and putting you first, I think is what it comes down to. Because I know, as much as you sit there and go, I don't know, I do triathlons and I don't know what I get from this endurance stuff. I know exactly what you're saying, because I sit there and say, people go, why do you do it? And I'm like, I can't explain why I do it. It's just, it gives me kind of a self-worth. Like it helps. It gives me something to work towards and something to appreciate myself for. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of like a marker of how far you've come as well. Like, it's a good actual moment where you can have that you go, this is something I can actually do now.
And nothing beats that feeling of running through a finisher's chute at the end. It makes it all worth it.
Oh my God, so does. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, we are super excited to follow along on your journey. Looking forward to the 70.3. We'll be
definitely be down there.
If not, you on.
I don't know when it is this year.
September.
And when's Blackall?
October.
September, October. Oh, yeah.
You
So I'll
won't
probably
be
be
doing
next
both
year.
of
So I'll be
them.
70.3 next year. But I will definitely be down there
We'll be down
volunteering,
there. We'll be
yelling
on the corner.
loudly, and showing our support
Awesome.
for your little mission that I'm sure you will accomplish because you have that mindset of just like, I'll just do it. I'll get
just
it
do
done.
it.
So I'm sure I'll see you at the finish line of the 70.3 and then hopefully at the Ironman up in Cairns. And yeah, well done.
Yes. And we'll hang out. Thanks so much. Thanks for everything you guys do, your presence and all your work. Like I said, someone who doesn't know a huge community of people, you really do make a difference. And I appreciate so much you putting yourselves out there. And I'm so glad you're in love.
That was so nice. Thank you. We do it to meet amazing people like you, and that's our reward at the end of the day because we get to make connections with people who are out there just showing them what they can do and smashing it and just showing what's possible, really. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. That's another episode of Barry Banter.
Why, yes, that is another episode of Barry Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to barrybanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.